Hello everyone, this is Joel with SB Review. So today we're going to be talking about these three Dreo Space Heaters. So the tallest one here is the Solaris Slim H3. Then we got the Atom 1. And then on my far right, we have the Solaris 319. So let's go ahead and put these to the test. Now first up, we got the Solaris 319. The cool thing about each one of these is that it comes with a remote. So we just press the power button. It'll make that beeping noise, and then you can see at the top here, it'll basically just count down to show you when it's ready. So there's three different modes here. We have H1, H2, and H3, and that just represents the amount of hot air that's going to be pushed out. There's also an oscillating mode. So that can rotate all the way to the left, all the way to the right. Then once I press the oscillating button again, it stopped, and then we also have a timer. And you can see on the top there, we can set this for how long we want it to go. So it's from 1 hour all the way up to 10 hours. And here we can also set the degrees. So you can see that it's preset for 85. So let's see what the highest one is. That's 95 degrees. That is the top. Obviously you don't want to keep that on that because that's going to use a lot of electricity. But you can see we can lower that. So the lowest is 41 degrees. And another cool feature is that if you don't want all this beeping noise, there's this mute button right here. So if we press that, whenever you use the remote, it's not going to make that beeping noise when you adjust the settings. So that is a plus. That was kind of annoying me. It also has a really cool safety feature where you move it down like this. So you can see that we have the controls on the top here. It'll start beeping, basically indicating to you that it's not in a safe position. If we leave it like that for a couple of seconds, it'll automatically turn off. So that's a really cool safety feature. Obviously with these space heaters, people can forget about them being on. So that is really important. You can also see all the different controls here on the top part, which are pretty much the exact same on the control. This thing is also really light. It's maybe 2 to 3 pounds. But let's go ahead and move on to the next heat. Now next up we have the Atom 1. Now of course this has a remote too. So if we press this button, it'll turn on. It's the same thing, has a couple of modes, has H3 mode. Then of course we have the first mode, that is the quietest, H2 mode. So what I am noticing right away about this space heater is that it's really quiet than the last one that we just talked about. Now one thing that I was thinking about, I thought this was not an oscillating one because when you look at the base here, you don't think that it can oscillate, but it does have that feature. It's just very seamless. You can't really tell. But as you can see, it rotates. And as you can see, this Atom 1 is way more compact than this other one I just showed you, and it's a little bit shorter, but they have the exact same features. This is more of like a stubbier one that may be a little bit more storage capable and fit better in office spaces or your room. Of course, we look at the top here, we have all the same exact settings as the previous one. Even has the safety setting where if you tip it over like this, it's going to automatically turn off. There's even a timer for that. It'll count down, and once it hits 0, it'll shut off. So this one is definitely pretty cool. Let's check out the last one. Okay, so lastly, we have the Solaris Slim H3. Again, these are all Dreo space heaters. They just all differ in sort of like size, noise, but not so much of the features. But let's go ahead and turn this on. As you can see, same thing, it's set on H3. I do like the overall design of this one. It's a little bit taller, slimmer than the other ones. This gold is pretty nice, makes it look more premium. Press the oscillating button. They all can basically rotate in the same direction, so maybe a little bit less than 180 degrees. Kind of wish it can move all the way to the side here, but they don't do that. And it's actually very similar in noise compared to the other ones. We have H2 mode and the H1 mode. I've noticed that the H1 mode on all of these is very quiet. You can hardly even hear it. And I think this one rotates a little bit slower compared to the other ones for some reason. Again, if you look at the remote, all the same exact features and settings, not that much of a difference. If you do look at the top here, it has the same safety feature, it's going to turn off. But you can see we have these LED screen buttons here, so it's kind of a little bit different than the other ones. This one is definitely more premium. It's more of like a touchscreen LED screen. And as you can see, like they all go down to the same degrees, 41 degrees. And then the highest is 95 degrees. So they're all pretty much the exact same. And what's pretty cool is that this also has a feature where if you press this button here, you can see that we have these bars here. So if we press that, we can actually just activate the fan. So it's just going to push out whatever air that is in your room right now. It's going to circulate it. And each one of these has that feature I just realized. So all of them have the fan feature if you didn't want to use the heater, which I didn't even know Dreo Space Heaters have. So that is a cool plus that could actually double up as both a fan and a space heater. I mean, these pretty much look good anywhere. The colors are great. So regardless of what color your walls are, whatever decoration that you have, these should look pretty good with them. So they fit nicely in terms of like decor. And all of their cords are essentially the same length. You're basically getting about 5 to 6 feet long. Now, if we're talking weight, they all have these handles on the back so you can pretty easily lift them up. They all feel pretty much the same. Maybe slightly lighter than the rest of those two. So all in all, there's not like a huge difference between all of these. It just really depends on what you want in terms of the sizing, the compactability, the slimness, because they're basically identical with all their features and the things that they can do. So it really just comes down to how much you're willing to spend. I would just take the middle of all of these, which is pretty much this one. You know, it's not too tall, not too short. I feel like it's the best medium between all of these three. And I guess they call this the Dreo Solaris 319 because honestly, at the end of the day, the only difference between all of these is the size. So if you want to mix with something that's a little bit more compact and slim, then I would say this one is your best bet.